Hello and welcome to another Podcast Valley Sunday. I am one of your hosts, Chris Paco.
And I'm the other host, Jeff Cameron.
How's it going, Jeff?
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Excellent. Always good to hear.
Yeah, man.
So here we are. We're at Monkees number 30, the 30th episode.
And it's also time to point out, now that we're done episode 29, we are officially half done.
That's crazy.
Half done the episodes themselves.
Wow, that's something. We've come such a long way.
For realsies.
Our first episode that was over an hour long without a countdown.
Roughly a year ago, by the way, we started recording these.
Yeah, very close. All right, so we'll get right into it here. This is the Monkees in Manhattan, a.k.a. the Monkees Manhattan style.
Yeah.
Which I like the Monkees Manhattan style better.
I think I agree.
Yeah. Directed by Russell Mayberry and written by Gerald Gardner and our buddy Angry D. Caruso.
Oh, shit.
And originally
They're
aired...
back.
What's that?
They're back.
Yeah, back again. They don't need that third person to round out the sentimentality that they do not have. And originally aired April 10th, 1967. So we're coming up to the Summer of Love. It's like looming. It's right there.
Wow.
So it's getting crazy. It was a 67, the Summer of Love? Or was it
67 was the Summer of Love.
Okay, yeah.
Like 69 was Woodstock.
Yeah, it was like the peace, love, and music kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's where the wave broke. It opens up with this shot of Manhattan in all its like 1967 hustle and bustle glory.
Yes.
Which is pretty sweet.
It feels like 100 years ago, that shot of Times Square.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's all like light bulbs and stuff. It's not like neon craziness.
I think that is the exact amount of this episode that actually takes place in Manhattan.
Yeah, I think so too. And so the boys walk through like a turnstile type door, and Davy's singing New York, New York, just to make sure we know
Yes,
New York.
Driving home.
Yeah. And the guy at the desk is on the phone, and they interrupt him to ask where McKinley Baker is. And he's like a big Broadway producer who told the boys that they'd be in his next musical. So they're super stoked. It's the big break they've been waiting for all season.
For real.
The guy behind the desk says, more show business types. And he tells them where the room is. And so off they go. They get to room 304. McKinley opens the door. And for what is probably the first time ever, a grown-up is happy to see the Monkees.
You may be right.
He's so stoked to see them. And it's like, oh, this is very different. It's a different feel already. And he says that as soon as he saw them in that little club out west, he knew that they'd be perfect for his rock and roll musical. And he asks if they had a good flight, and Mickey tells him that they came by bus. He says they took the Blem line.
Sure, it's such a pleasure to take Blem and leave the driving to them.
This is funny. And he asks where they're staying, and they don't have anywhere to stay. So he says they can stay with him because he's got plenty of room. It's like they didn't plan this well at all.
No. Mickey's got his drum set in a suitcase, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. I think they just showed up hoping he'd put them up. He's like...
And I like how in like less than a sentence they establish, hey, saw you guys out west, I loved you, come on out here. Like, it quickly established why they're there.
Yeah.
Why he knows them.
Yeah, they're very good now at getting the point across quickly. They don't need a lot of song and dance. They're just like, boom, this is it. And so there's a knock at the door, and now the real adult, Mr. Weatherwax, and his stooge show up. And he tells him that he's sick of waiting for the rent, and McKinley has to leave in 1 hour, which is like pretty short notice there, bud.
For real.
Like 1 hour? Come on. And then that's it. And then the intro comes in.
Like a minute 45 this time.
And they got a lot in there in that intro.
They crammed a whole bunch of non-monkey people into this episode already. It feels overstuffed.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah. There's already like 3 new people they're dealing with.
Yep.
So in the room, McKinley, who's Richard Anders in real life, he says that if he could just stay there till noon, he'd have the money because that's when the backers of the musical are going to pay him.
Yeah.
And Mike says that they can stall for 3 hours, and then Mac goes out to get the money. So it's one thing the Monkees are good at. It's like stalling for time. Because they've got ruses, they've got musical numbers, they've got all kinds of stuff they can do.
Oh, yeah.
So then in the lobby, the stooge says to Weatherwax that if he can just wait till tomorrow, McKinley will have the money from his backer. But then Weatherwax says it's a matter of principle, And it turns out that he's promised the room to a big shot from the rabbit breeders convention. There's got to be something behind that. There's got to be some kind of inside joke or something, like a rabbit breeders convention. Because
I don't know.
weird.
I think it is what it is.
Yeah.
Some rabbits around.
Yeah, exactly. They probably promised that guy he'd have a role in the show. And like, well, Christ, okay, fine, rabbit breeder. And so the rabbit breeder dude, he's super creepy and pretty drunk.
Yeah.
And he's almost like Vincent Price in a way. He's like, you know. So he asks if the room is ready for him, and he hands him a bill. And Weatherwax says it'll be ready in 5 minutes, even though he just said an hour. He just gave the guys an hour. So Weatherwax he's a shifty character to everybody.
For real. It's the worst.
And so the creep show with the bunny, they go to the bar. And so Weatherwax and Stooge, they go up to the room, which on the door says 305 in this shot, but it's 304, which is weird. But Mike answers the door, and Weatherwax is way too loud, and Mike keeps telling him to be quiet.
Your hour is up.
Shh, please, be quiet. You can come in, but you can only stay just a few minutes.
I can watch.
Will you please be quiet?
And they go in the room, and Peter's laying on the bed covered in spots. And Mickey's over him like in doctor's garb with a stethoscope. And Mickey says that Peter's in bad shape, and he asks if Weatherwax is his next of kin, and holds out the stethoscope while Weatherwax yells into it. And then Mickey yells at him to quiet down again. So Weatherwax says that he's not his next of kin. He's the manager of the hotel, and he sends Stooge for the hotel doctor.
Stooge.
And then Weatherwax says that Peter's going to have to leave the room, and Mickey says he can't move somebody who has the plague.
Plague? Is it contagious? Have you ever seen a plague that wasn't?
Oh.
It's timely. It's timely right now.
Yeah, for real.
No one wearing masks, I just have to point out. So the Stooge brings the doctor in, and there's a weird cut with a close-up of the doctor who just says, visiting hours are over. And a close-up of Davy who replies, it's 9 a.m. And it seems like it was just stuck in there afterwards. That cut was just such a weird, out-of-place cut.
You know my visiting hours are over.
But it's 9 a.m.
So Weatherwax tells the doctor to find out if Peter's really sick.
Of course he's sick. He had sham when he was 12 years old.
So the doctor puts a thing up to Peter's eye and tells him to say, ah, which is funny. Mickey says that if the doctor's going to look over his patient, he's not going to be liable for anything. And the ethics practice committee would like to hear about this. So the doctor says he doesn't want to deal with them again. And then he takes off with Weatherwax in tow. While Mickey was talking, he takes off his glasses he's wearing, cleans them, and then puts them on upside down. It's just a weird Mickey move. And then Peter asks how his heartbeat is.
Fine, but the melody don't make it. Listen, it's 10 o'clock. We gotta keep these guys out of here till 12.
You know, dun, dun, dun. So in the lobby, Creepy Bunny Guy, which was the original title of Donnie Darko. I don't know if you know that. But he comes back from the car carrying a bunch of rabbits. And he asks about his room, and Weatherwax says that they're just making it up. And then Creepy Bunny Guy says he'll be in the bar, and he's tanked already. He's so drunk. So Weatherwax says they've got to starve the boys out of the room and tells room service not to bring them any more food. But it's really just 2 hours, so I don't know how this whole starving them out situation's going to work.
Yeah, I don't know. These things don't write themselves, you know.
Yeah.
You got to figure out ways to do it.
Yeah, well, the monkeys never eat anyway, so they're not going to be hungry. They have no food ever.
Like, the boys ruse their way into the most food I've ever seen on an episode of the Monkees here.
It's very true.
Absolutely.
So Mike's on the phone in the room, and he orders room service to room 305. And Davey says why he's doing that if they're in room 304. And somehow Mike already knows about Weatherwax's plans and knows to send it to the wrong room so they'll actually get the food. Which also might be why he was in room 305. You know what I mean? There must have been either a switch in editing or just a mess up. I don't know.
I'm not sure what don't happen.
So the waiter comes up to 305, and he appears to interrupt a newlywed couple who are very much in love. And he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir," and leaves. And then Mike and Davey stop him in the hallway and asks him to say, "I'm sorry, sir," again. And he does, and they swoon over it. And Mike tells him that he's perfect for the role of the prince and asks him to come into his room so they can talk. Mike asks if he'd want to be in a Broadway musical, and the waiter says that he's heard that being an actor is really hard, and what would he have to do? And Mike tells him that he would have to get some rye bread and some cold cuts, and the waiter balks at that.
Couldn't do that. This is 3:04.
Oh, it's not. It's 5 after 10.
So Mike woos him enough that he leaves to get the food. And he says, don't forget the pickles. And then Mike winks at the camera. Also in this episode, there's a lot of here to there, like a lot of different location cutting back and forth.
Yeah,
in this
true.
one. So back in the lobby, Weatherwax asks the stooge, who's stuffing envelopes that go flying everywhere, if he'd starved them out yet. And Stooge says, how hungry can you get in a half an hour? Which is a great
For
point
real,
for Stooge to have.
Yeah, he's calling out the lameness of the idea.
Yeah, he's like the one guy who sees through the monkey's mustache ruse and sees it's the monkeys. He's just like the one guy with like a functioning brain. And so creepy bunny guy walks up carrying a cage full of white rabbits and holding a few and he's holding a few more rabbits. And he asks about the room. Weatherwax feeds him some bull crap. And Drunky Punk says,
I've been waiting and sitting in your bar drinking and talking to barmaids, and well, it's been hours. We're doing our best. No hurry.
so he's got his priorities straight.
See, we're spending a lot of time with some non-monkey people in this episode.
Yeah, it is. I think it's Caruso's trying to beef up his resume. He's trying to show he can write for other people as well. In the room, Mickey finds a song from McKinley's play, and Davy says they should try it on for size. And Mickey says it doesn't fit and holds it up in front of Mike to see if it fits him.
No, E-flat never was my color.
This one's not very funny.
Then in the lobby, Weatherwax tells Stooge to get the house detective because they'll throw them out. Which leads us into Monkey's Romp number 1, The Girl That I Knew Somewhere.
Yes.
Which is an interesting song for this part. Like, it doesn't have a lot of correlation to what's going on, but it's a great song.
Yeah.
So
It's a rompy song.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever do like a performance-y thing for the song.
yeah, no, I don't think so
It's
either.
always like this romp material.
Yeah, but this romp,
You never see them. There's never them with the shirts on playing the song.
yeah, no, they're never like in the purple room or whatever,
Yeah.
playing away. And so a lot goes on in this romp. There's like Weatherwax, the Stooge, and the detective storm in the room, and the boys run into another room, and they all run out into the hallway where there's like a clown and a guy doing dog tricks. And it must be the show business people, right? Because there's so many people in New York, show business people.
Oh, yes, of course.
And then Mike is being chased by Stooge, and he runs into an elevator, and there's a juggler outside of it, and Stooge stops to juggle a bit, showing off some skills. Then he takes off. Mickey runs out of a window and takes the fire escape and is chased by the detective. They run into the honeymoon suite where the groom is still wrestling with the cork on the champagne. That's what he's trying to open when they go in there the first time. Mickey takes the bottle and uses the drawer to open it, but when he slams the bottle down, it just breaks the drawer off. And he throws the bottle back to the groom and takes off. Could you imagine trying to open it? Some guy breaks in your room, grabs the bottle, breaks the dresser, throws the bottle back to you and runs away. What a honeymoon.
Different times, man.
Yeah. So it goes into a weird slow motion like dream low angle of the boys like jumping over the fountain and stuff.
Yeah.
And Mike runs through the lobby, throws paper everywhere, and Stooge runs after him through the spinny doors. And then we cut to some like super old footage of Mike, Mickey, and Peter on a merry-go-round, like original
from, like,
romp
the
stuff.
Pilot.
Yeah.
The pilot, not the first episode, but like, yeah, it's old shit. And along with the other footage they just showed, it's like we're already going into like clip show territory.
Yeah, it's very strange. And then they're back in the lobby where Mike is chasing Stooge. Creepy bunny guy shows up staggering around with some rabbits. And the boys are climbing up the side of the building, walking along the edge. Mike does some magic with Stooge, making a bunch of bunnies appear in their arms and stuff like that. The boys are just running out of the hotel down the street, and they're dressed as like different workers. Like Mike's a cop, tells Weatherwax and Stooge to keep moving, and again winks at the camera. This should be called Mike Winks at the Camera, this episode. And then there's more cool slow motion shots of, I don't know why I loved those slow motion shots of them like jumping over.
Yeah.
If it almost
these were definitely in California, and like
oh yeah.
We were ditching the whole Manhattan thing. We're using the cool footage of them hopping and doing their hard days night-ish, but in California rompery.
That's what I was gonna say. It reminds me a lot of a Hard Day's Night. Those shots.
For real.
A lot. And
any time there's like a fire escape,
Yeah.
this feels hard days 90.
yeah. And then they climb down the fire escape again, go back into the room where the waiter has brought them food. And and they just start eating their faces off. And that's like the end of the romp right there. And so Mike tells the waiter that he brought everything and that it's wonderful. So the waiter asks about weather wax.
Oh, no, the liverwurst and artichokes is just plenty. No, sir, I mean, what about the hotel manager?
Let him get his own artichokes and liverwurst.
They're very good at just deflecting and just not answering
for
questions. Sure. So Weatherwax tells Stooge, and he's going to go ambush them and kick them out. And he flings open the door, and he says, all right, your hour is up. But it turns out that it's the honeymoon suite.
Whoops.
And as they used to say in YM Magazine, he was mortified. He looks at the room number, and it's 304, and realizes that the boys have switched the room numbers. And maybe this is why it said 305 earlier. So maybe they did a pre-switch before everything. So Weatherwax and Stooge bust in the room, and Weatherwax says they have to go. Peter and Davy start to escort Weatherwax out of the room, but the waiter gets in the way. Then the bride and groom come in, and he asks if anyone can open the bottle for him. And then the bride says,
he can't do anything.
Man.
First day of the honeymoon. Ooh,
Rough times.
honeymoon's over, bud. Honeymoon's over. And so there are chimes, and then Peter says it's 12 o'clock, and Mickey walks in dressed like a cowboy.
High noon.
Gun.
Yeah, yep, Gunn shows up. And then McKinley shows up, and Weatherwax asks,
Have you got a baker backer? Have you got a backer?
Baker backer?
it kind of goes on like that for a second. And then McKinley says that the backer backed out, and Weatherwax tells him they have 20 minutes to get it or he'll call the cops, unless anyone has anything to say about it. And then everyone just kind of goes crazy. It's just like chaos. The groom finally pops the cork, wink, wank. And then it cuts to a shot from Monkey versus Machine when the boomerang smashes through the window and hits Peter in the stomach.
So somehow the cork goes outside and then comes through the window and hits Peter.
And turns into
Even
a
though
boomerang.
It was the footage.
That cork popped so hard, it went back in time, pulled Peter out of that episode, stuck him in this episode, and punched him in the stomach with a boomerang.
Maybe that shot cost them a fortune, and they're just trying to find a way to use it again.
Yeah, Crusoe is pissed. He's like, you didn't use that well enough. I wrote that perfectly. A boomerang could be a cork, you idiot. It's all in your mind. And so, yeah, that was so weird that they cut to that thing. But now the bride is super happy and hugs the groom as the bottle just jizzes champagne everywhere. And so the boys and McKinley are packing their stuff up, and Mac is complaining that he shouldn't have come to New York. And Mike tells him that there must be someone in New York who wants to give money to produce a musical written by an unknown, directed by an unknown, starring the Monkees. It doesn't go over well, so they go back to packing.
Sure, take plenty of socks.
I don't want to say that. So the boys are leaving, and Peter notices that there's a millionaires club. And they run out of the room, and Mickey looks at the camera and says,
Well, it's worth a try.
this is one of the first, you think it's the end of the episode, but it's not. It's like, oh, wah, wah, they're going home, and something's going to happen. But then it's like, no, they still have this whole millionaires thing to go to.
Yeah.
They haven't.
More people, and just so many people in this episode.
Yeah, it's a big episode. And so Davy goes up to the door, tells the doorman that his family goes back nearly 400 years to the first rich people. And he introduces Mike and asks what his ranch is called in Texas. And Mike says,
Houston.
And Mickey pops up in a questionable outfit in 2020 as a sheik. But thankfully, and honestly, surprisingly, he doesn't use an accent or anything. He just talks like Mickey, except a little more subdued. He doesn't put on a weird...
it's not offensive.
Yeah.
Overtly.
Yeah, just wearing the outfit. So I think that's okay. And he says he wants to put a new wing on the building. And the doorman says they can't accept gifts. And Mickey says it's not a gift, it's charity. And Peter is introduced as the son of a rich man who's in garbage disposal. And Davey says that before they join the club, they'd have to take a look around. And the doorman doesn't seem to think there's anything wrong with that and just lets them in.
Nope.
Which, different times, I guess.
For real.
And so Davey and Peter try to shake down this old man. And they have a couple jokes about being rich, and then they mention the musical. And Mickey sits down next to another old white dude, And he asks Mickey if he's going to invest in the musical. Like, word travels fast. Like, they just talked about
real.
on that side of the room. Yes, other people know about it. Mickey says that he considers all theater immoral. And he says, me and all my wives think it's immoral. That's funny. Mike pops up and an old man asks what the musical's all about. And Mike says it sort of goes like this. And he holds his arms out wide and then smacks his hands together. Kind of like curtains, I guess. Which leads us to Monkees Romp number 2. Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow.
Another Monkees clip show for the fans at home.
It really is.
What they've been up to this season.
And I even wrote, it's like a clip show of all the older romps. It's the boys dancing in the striped suit, in the courtroom with a gavel, swords and tuxedos walking sideways up the roof, which is used in the intro.
Oh, yes.
At the pad playing the song in the blue monkey shirts. Them in the haunted mansion in their PJs.
Yeah.
In boats at the circus in the Mexican town. The monkey men shot that's in the intro, the grass skirts.
And also, this version of Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow is the slightly longer one with the longer organ solo.
Yeah.
And we pulled this song a couple weeks ago. And we were going to talk about the Peter narration if we could find a copy of it to listen to. And eventually we did. Did you listen to it, by the way?
I did, yes.
Yeah, it's weird. He talks about, here's the instrumental part. And if this part wasn't here, we'd have to do an interview at the end, which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the instrumental. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed it. And now, back to the song.
A gun shoots at Davy over the bar from like the Monkeys in a Ghost Town, I think it was.
I think you're right.
And
there might have been with the purple flower gun.
Yeah, I was thinking one or the other. Yeah.
Gee, it was that episode with the gun in it.
Yeah, exactly. Mike and Peter walk through each other on the tightrope. Playboy Bunny at the Millionaires Club. At the end, Mike smacks his hands together and says, "What did you think?" And says, "But all the millionaires are sleeping."
Oh, jeez.
The doorman says that he should have told them that it's the time for the evening nap. And they ask how they fall asleep at the same time. And the doorman says, with the help from some brandy.
Yep.
So essentially a doorman, I think, is just drugging all these old white guys to shut them up. And he tells them that he's backed a few shows in his day and wanted to keep a good thing for himself. So, he essentially did just drug them all. So he could invest in the musical. Now, what a guy. What a guy.
So he seems like he saves the day, and he's the monkey's best friend. He loves the boys, and the boys are great.
Yeah,
and then
they're super stoked.
Next scene,
they all leave together. And then back at the hotel, the boys are stoked. McKinley says that they saved the show, but the backer wants it to be 4 girls instead of 4 boys. So he can't take his money because he promised the parts to the boys. Like, McKinley says, stand up, dude.
For real.
Honestly, stand up, dude. And they tell him that this is his big chance, and then he can hire them for the next musical he writes. Great guys too. Look, that's a mutual friendship there.
For real, it's good.
Yeah, really nice.
I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot from McKinley.
Oh yeah,
Baker
I think he's in every
episodes.
episode from here on out. I think they've become best friends. And so then they say they got to catch a bus, and they split. Got to take the Blem line home.
Oh yeah.
So in the lobby, the boys are stopped by Weatherwax, and he tells them that they have to pay their bill, and it's $180. And they all protest, and Mike tells them to shush, and he'll handle it.
Hold it. I'll straighten this out. How can we pay money we don't have?
I like when Mike just gets everybody shush. I've said that to many bill collectors, and they
we've all been there, my friend.
They don't take it as well as they should.
Nope.
So in the end, Mike
says you.
Yeah. What's their problem?
I don't see what the big deal is. You got other money.
Yeah. It's hard at McDonald's because you have to eat your food so quickly before you pay for it at the counter. So Mike is working the desk, and the boys each bring down a cage full of rabbits, along with the creepy bunny guy. And then that's essentially the end. Like, they just have to work off their bill.
Yeah. So that's technically the end of the show portion of the episode.
Yeah.
It's 18.5 minutes in.
Yeah.
This includes the supersized Look Out Here Comes Tomorrow clip show and also the other clip showy type romp. This is a slight episode, considering there's so many people in it.
Yeah.
But it's like, content-wise, there was just not a lot of show. in this episode for some reason. I
Yeah.
don't know why it played out like that.
Gardner Caruso phoned this one in. Maybe this is why they have to bring in a third person sometimes. It's like, guys, this isn't a full episode. Make it one. Like, okay, let's bring in, whoever the heck to help us out here.
For real.
So then there's an interview segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, this part of our record is here because if it weren't, the record would be 17 seconds too short, and we would have to do an interview at the end.
And the boys are asked about their level of fame and what would they do if it all went away.
I'd go back to the village and be a folk singer.
How about you, Davey?
I'd go back to the village and watch you be a folk singer.
Mike?
I'd probably go burn the village.
Burn the village.
Oh, Mike. And next they get asked, what would they buy if they could buy?
Wait, Mickey says he'd be dating his science teacher.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes.
Which,
I'd probably be dating my science teacher.
I don't know. People wouldn't say that these days.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Mickey. It's Bob Rafelson asking the questions. Because they say at one point Bob. They call him Bob. So Rafelson asked them what they would do if they could buy anything. And Peter says he'd buy Texas. And Davey says some girl's name and then says a little jet.
Ursula Andress.
Yeah.
She's a model actress from Europe.
Yeah, all right. See, so he's using the show to try to put out his feelers to get the birds. He understands. I know she watches this, man. Hey, come on, babe. Let's buy a little jet. Join the Mile High Club.
Tinder hasn't been invented, man.
Yeah. This is his first social media.
It's my own show, babe.
Yeah. Hashtag, come on, babe. And Mike says that he can buy pretty much whatever he wants now and that they've already got what they want. Mike takes a very kind of humble approach to this, which is nice.
For real.
Mickey says that once you have enough money, it's not about material possessions and that he'd like to buy a city block and plant orange trees. Such a 67 line right there.
Oh, yeah.
And then Mike says that people should get into liking things that are ugly, like garage doors.
In order to dig things that are pretty, it takes no special talent. What it really takes a talent to do is to dig something ugly.
Like what?
Well, I don't know. You dig something like a garage door, I mean, how many people say, oh, look at that garage door?
And then Mike and Davey get into an argument about who's the ugliest. And they both say that they're the ugliest.
You are not. I'm uglier than you.
Yeah, no, I'm the ugliest.
I'm the ugliest. It's me. All right, I lose.
I'm sure Davey, when Mike's like, you should learn to like something ugly. Davey's like, whatever, man. I don't like to work for my looks, babe. And then Peter and Davey have some fun with their makeup guy, like Keebler or Keever.
Keever, I think his name.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny and kind of cute and everything. And then Bob asks Mike why he really wants to buy a house. And Mike is perplexed by the question.
Why do you like that shirt, Bob? Why do you want a house? To keep the wind off of me. It's unbelievable.
And you can hear the crew losing it in the background.
Yeah.
Like they love that part. And then that's the end of the interview part. And then we cut to this awesome performance of an early version of Words.
Yeah.
And it's wicked. And it's Davey on drums and wind chimes, Peter on guitar, Mike on bass, and Mickey singing. And it's just an awesome visual Monkees performance, I think, anyway. And the early version of Words is awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. They got that crane. They're in the Valerie room from when they shot the Valerie video that didn't really come out for the song.
Yeah.
The version of the song that was just on the show for so long. They made both of these in that setup.
Yeah, it's interesting.
With the crane shots and everything.
Yeah. And it's a full-on performance, and there's a weird flute solo in the middle. And the boys are rocking out, and it's one of the best performances they filmed so far, probably other than the Valerie performance in the same room.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, like I wonder if they did them both in the same day.
Probably.
I would assume they did.
Like they had their civvies on for the Valerie. They're
Yeah.
in their regular clothes. They had to pop the red shirts on for
Yeah,
this one.
yeah, because then Davey hops on the drums, and then I believe earlier in an earlier episode you said that was like the original. People felt that should have been the setup of the band, like Davey on drums.
Because they each had actual experience doing those positions.
Yeah.
Compared to what they were asked to do. in the Monkees.
I've got experience in lots of positions, man. Don't worry about me. Put me anyway, I'll get it done.
Davey.
If you know what I mean. So yeah, and then that is the actual end of the episode. Finally, like there's a lot in this episode. It's almost like the actual episode parts are the afterthought to this episode, and the interview and the words performance are the wicked rock out awesome parts.
It's true. Like, when did you say this one aired?
April 10th, 1967.
Okay. Yeah, they're kind of on top of the world at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're riding high. And no, it's but it is interesting how like the romps are more clip shows than romp than the romps they've become, which have been more story central romps.
Yeah.
And
we're coming up to the end of the season, and it sounds like these 32 episodes seems like a pretty big season order. Maybe there was just kind of like a half-done episode, and they were like,
yeah,
okay, we don't have enough to make this episode. And eventually, okay, we'll grab some interviews, grab a whole bunch of romps for the romp thing.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I also wonder if maybe there was a part where you see McKinley getting denied by the backers, and they're just like, look, there's too much other people in this episode.
For real.
He can just tell them about it. We'll put in a performance. We'll do clip shows. We'll put in an interview, and we'll fill this one up. Pretty much those are my overall thoughts of this episode. It's super weird, but again, it's distributed pretty evenly between the four guys.
Yeah.
And that seems to
it's
be
it's a good episode to show somebody what the Monkees are about, kind of, because they each get to be funny, and they do the interview thing and the 2 killer songs.
Yeah.
Or 3 really good songs.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a great song episode, that's for sure. And it's just weird. No love interests though.
That's true. There was the broad who was already married.
Yeah.
And they snuck the bunny lady into the millionaire romp.
Yeah. Exactly.
No intro, no lines, no nothing. Just throw her in there with the suit on.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my suggestion, man. We need some birds as bunnies and some bunnies as birds.
Oh man, there was bunnies all over this episode.
Yeah, it should be called the Monkey Bunnies. Was there guns? There was in the romp flashback stuff.
Yes. And Mickey briefly has the high noon click, and he just drops the things.
That's true.
Fun little moment.
So a couple of guns there. Highlight of the show. I'd say the words performance for me.
It is pretty cool. Yes.
Yeah.
But Mike in the interviews, just how dry and flabbergasted he is.
Just when he says he'd burn the village down, just to be
burn the village, and you get wet when it rains if you're living in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Like, just such good fun line.
Yeah, a lot of dry Mike stuff in this episode, which is great. Was there a Monkey's ruse? Yeah, Mickey's the doctor, Peter being sick, everything at the Millionaires Club.
Well, that was ruse after ruse.
Yeah, lots of rusing. Whole lot of rusing going on. Fourth wall break. Yeah, Mike winks at the camera twice. And then Mickey,
doing the winking.
When they try to go into the club. Like, it's worth a shot, right?
Yeah.
So they're really bringing us together.
And Davy's extreme close-up with the doctor thing. Wasn't he talking to the camera?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Best musical moment for me was Words, hands down.
I think you're right.
My highlight of the episode, so it better be the best musical moment too.
They're all good songs, though.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Something that wouldn't fly in 2020, maybe Mickey dresses the Sheik.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing, I think. Everything else is pretty... That guy getting super trashed.
And talking about Mickey talking about dating his high school teacher. His implications. I don't know. Whatever.
I wonder if she called him after that. It's like, oh, I saw the episode. I was wondering what you're doing tomorrow night.
Oh, boy.
So now we're at the Did You Knows.
The guy who played Weatherwax was Philip Ober, and he was on I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh, bro.
That's the only interesting thing I had for that guy. The waiter, Olan Sule, or Olan Sul. So he's got a weird name, but
there is no Olan, only Sewell.
Funny you should mention that. We'll get to that in a minute. This dude, the waiter guy, did a lot of time as the cartoon voice of Batman in various animated productions like Super Friends and the Batman Superman Hour. And so like he was the voice of Batman for a while.
Interesting. That's cool.
Bah.
Interesting.
And the gentleman with the bunnies, what did you call him a few times?
Creepy
few
bunny guy?
names for him. Yeah, creepy
You're
bunny.
the drunky punk?
Drunky Funk, yes. He's the late Foster Brooks, a.k.a. the Lovable Lush. Created, this was like an act he did on like the Tonight Show and roasts and things.
I see.
So like he was kind of known for this.
That's his move.
It just wasn't like a one-time thing here on that thing. But he was on like the Dean Martin celebrity roast and stuff back in the day.
He's probably just an alcoholic. He wasn't a thing at all. He would just show up and just be himself.
and the bride, Susan Howard was her name, and she played Donna Krebs on Dallas on CBS.
Oh, really?
In the 80s, yes.
So she had like a big that was probably a big role, right? To be on Dallas.
Yeah. I think she was on most of the show. And she also was on an episode of Star Trek.
There you go.
Like a year after she was on the Monkees.
I find a lot of people who are on Star Trek who have guest spots on Monkees end up on Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. Because it was definitely shot around the same time. Yeah. Probably the freaking soundstage next door or something.
I was going to say they're right beside each other, probably.
And saving the best for last. The butler, the doorman.
Yep.
I looked him up first because his name in real life is Doodles Weaver.
Wow.
It's his professional name. His real name. There's a number of pretty neat facts about this weird dude. Winston Sheffield Glendenning Dixon Weaver is his full name.
Ooh, look out.
His mama shortened it to Doodles. But he was just a wee baby. And he sort of rolled with that.
Thank you, Mom.
He had like 5 names and a last name. 4 names and a last name. Winston Sheffield Glendenning Dixon Weaver.
Wow.
Whoa. And he was like an old school radio guy. He's got like a credit list 1,000 miles long. He's like a character actor guy who was on like maybe like Andy Griffith Show, like Dragnet, Fantasy Island, all this stuff just kind of shows up, does things.
Huh.
As what normally happens when we look too deep into the people we're talking about, we get to something gruesome. On January 17th, 1983, Doodles Weaver died of 2 self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the chest.
Ooh, Doodles.
2! How do you...
Oh, man, that's terrible. Poor Doodles.
How do you...
He's got to be a quick draw, I guess.
The first one didn't work.
Itchy trigger finger Doodles.
So that's what happened to the guy who did not back the Monkees.
Yeah.
In the musical. He threw out the Monkees, brought in some girls. Yada, yada, yada. Not 1, but 2 self-inflicted gunshot wounds.
Holy moly.
Sorry about that. It's hard to come back from any time we start talking about self-inflicted gunshot wounds. But we got to get back to it.
Indeed. Well, it seems to happen more often than I would have expected on the Monkees podcast, talking about people shooting themselves.
Well, when there's guns around.
Yeah, too
many guns. It's just a matter of time.
Too many guns.
So that's a season 2 episode. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Too many guns.
Too many guns. All right. Well, yeah, that's that episode. And it was definitely a weird, different episode that definitely seems thrown together and weird.
One last note about Doodles Weaver. It's a fun one. His niece is Sigourney Weaver.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. That's great. That's way less depressing than how he killed himself. We'll go with that one.
We'll end with that one.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
For real.
So if I ever meet Sigourney Weaver and we're like, your uncle was on the Monkees. Like, what are you talking about? Uncle Doodles?
So is it that time?
I believe it is, but I'm going to have a little what am I going to say? A little announcement, a little surprise, I would say, for you here. Go. So Jeff, it's a long way away from Christmas or your birthday, I have to say. But there's going to be a little announcement for you, a little birthday / Christmas gift for you.
I'm terrified.
I was speaking with your sister Jen yesterday. It was a family gathering over here.
Oh, wow.
And we talked, and for your birthday / Christmas, we need you to go to Mike Nesmith's Video Ranch.
Oh, no.
Choose something you like, and we're getting you the Zoom meet and greet with Mike Nesmith.
Oh, my God.
Live and in person for your birthday and Christmas.
Oh, my goodness.
So
that's a big surprise. Holy shit.
So we'll let the people know that Mike Nesmith right now, if you go, this isn't a plug. He didn't pay us to do this. I wish he did. Or even asked us, because then it means he knows we exist.
This is unsolicited.
Unsolicited. If you go to videoranch.com and you order something for an extra fee, you can do a meet and greet with Mike Nesmith, and he'll sign whatever you order with a Zoom call with you and talk to you for 15, 20 minutes.
Holy jeez.
And I've set myself up for that, and I was like, I can't be the only one in Podcast Valley Sunday getting this amazing face-to-face meeting with the Mike Nesmith. And so yesterday I brought it up to your sister, dude, and I was like, we should do this. And she's like, we should do this. So now you are going to get to talk to Mr. Mike Nesmith as well.
Holy shit.
And face-to-face over a computer, mind you, but still face-to-face.
That's something else. And wow,
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I don't know what to say.
You're very welcome. It's
mind shattering.
Boom!
I just
I knew. I was like, I can't just do this myself. I wouldn't even be happy about it. I'd feel so guilty.
Like I said, man, I might be like Troy when he met LeVar Burton on Community. I might be catatonic.
That's what I'm worried about for myself, so I'll let you know how it goes.
For real.
That's the announcement. You and I are both going to be talking with Mike Nesmith.
Oh, my God, yeah. It's like it's you and me talking to Mike Nesmith. It's like when Wayne and Garth met Alice Cooper.
It really is, man. It's a thing that I was talking to somebody. I said it's on the level of like meeting the Beastie Boys to me. Like someone that's had such a huge impact on my actual life, but I never thought I'd actually converse with them. And it's
wild.
Coming up. It's going to be crazy.
Wow.
So now you can start freaking out like I am, but what the heck do you talk to him about? Not look like a dummy.
You son of a bitch. Well, that's okay. Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
A billion thank yous. That's just too much. I don't know what to say.
I love that the Monkees has grown together, so we had to both experience.
It's for real. It's true. Jeez Louise.
Okay, so now, after that big announcement, it is now time for the other awesome part of the show. So, who's first this week?
I never remember.
Yeah.
You can go first.
Okay.
You got the green hat.
I do.
You got to do it.
All right, so here we go. Reaching in. I've got a piece of paper. Here we go. Jam or jelly, what do you think before I look at it?
It's going to be a jelly.
All right.
It's going to be a jelly.
Here we go. Run away from life.
Oh, boy.
Let's run away from life together. Let me run away from life with you.
To Run Away from Life from Justice, written by Peter, sung by Davey. For Justice, it has that Justice feel for it, that's for sure.
Yeah. Just the dirty guitars.
Yeah.
And it's got a cool organ sound, too. I think Peter might have a lot to do with a lot of the instrumentation on this, from the keyboards to the wacky guitar sounds and the solo and things.
The solo is the highlight of the song, I think.
It's pretty darn neat.
It's like
not gonna lie.
The acid kicks in and you're blown away.
And Mickey singing backup is always good guy to have at your back.
Rest on changing, no more fights. We won't ever even disagree.
But no, that was definitely something else, man. That song's crazy.
So it's a tune.
Yeah,
It's a Justice tune.
it is Justice tune. It's a good tune for Justice. It's like we were saying, it's not a bad song by any means. It's just a weird kind of, I don't know. It's a jamly.
I think aside from it's obviously Davey and Mickey, not much else about it sounds like the Monkees, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we're like, there's something between us and this song that's like not, it's not hitting quite right.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it is that 90s slickness of things going on.
Yeah. I agree.
But I mean, it's things about happiness and being free and stuff like typical monkey topicalities. But I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Not bad. So yeah, I'm thinking run away from life. Where do you think we should put that in there? It's a jamly.
It's jamly. It's an upper jelly, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, it's a fruit on the top.
Yeah, let's just go right around P.O. Box 9847. Where do you want to put it around there?
I'd say like right after that at number 51. Right, like the top of the jellies.
There we go. Good spot. Good call.
Yes.
And there she goes.
Nice. Boom. So number 51 with a bullet. Run away from life. Just missing the top 50.
Oh, darn. All right, Paco, pass me that green wool hat of wonder. Wool hat of mystery, that is. Thank you. Appreciate it. Uh-oh. Don't take Justice out of the CD player just yet.
Double Justice. Look at that.
Double Justice has not happened yet. This is the first here at Podcast Valley Sunday. And it's You and I.
Something that we realized we would always share, and it was you and I. You and I.
Mickey Dolenz, David Jones wrote this song, originally appearing on the Dolenz Jones Voice and Heart album, which was featured on our second special not too long ago. It's a smash hit.
Yeah.
Not the album itself, but our episode about it did all right. And
they both have the same amount of listens.
I think after doing that one, we could kind of agree, just a brief aside here, that the Dolenz Jones Voice and Heart thing is like the 70s Monkees album.
Yes. Yeah.
Because before we weren't like super keen on even checking it out, but it totally is a very Monkees type project, and I think we've gotten behind it since putting ourselves through that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a lot of people were saying about that too. Like, I'm sorry you didn't like this album, and I was like, it wasn't that we didn't like the album. It was
because we definitely have some negative reactions in the moment, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But a lot of the songs definitely grew on us, and this song, You and I, originally appeared on that album in a form, like you said, it was a bit churchy, a bit earnest, a bit acoustic-y, kumbaya kind of feeling. So, and then when they got around to doing this 90s reunion album with Justice, Davey and Mickey kind of dust off this song about, it seems to be about them, and just why they do it, and promises not broken, and this and that. Maybe it is sort of like disguised as a romantic song, but I think that's kind of them and their experiences. That's just my bold take on it.
Yeah, you were saying too, is like the longevity of Mickey and Davey sticking with it, and the Monkees still going into the 90s, which, I bet not a lot of people saw that coming.
No, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's good. It is what it is. And I can also say I definitely like this version better than the Dolenz Jones Boy's Heart version.
I think I'm with you there.
It's a little more peppy. And I also feel like this is a song that could have popped up on like Shrek 2. You know what I mean? It has like them walking down, doing something funny, Shrek slips in the mud or something like that, and the song's playing.
Yeah.
I think it could definitely work out for that.
I think we got enough Monkees in Shrek, thanks.
Yeah, I know. It should be a combination. They should always be together now. So, where do you feel You and I should go on the countdown here?
do we put it above like the Magnolia Sims, Oklahoma Backroom Dancer, or is it below there in like the nearing the Jelly region?
I would listen to The Kind of Girl I Could Love before this, and then it's Mr.
Okay.
Webster, P.O. Box.
I think I like the monkeyness of this above Mr. Webster.
All right.
I don't know. What do you think?
Cool. No, that's fine. Yeah. All right. Ooh, it snuck into the top 50, number 49.
Hey, not bad.
And it pushed P.O. Box out of the top 50.
I'm okay with that.
Poor P.O. Box.
You and I is one of several songs with at least 2 versions in the Monkees canon. All right, so you get the honor of pulling the last one of the day.
Let's see what we can do here. Let's get some radical. All right. Okay. This one. No, this one. No, this one. All right, I got one.
That second one was the jam.
Here you go. You Bring the Summer.
Oh, they're all pretty recent.
Yeah, this one has like one of those cool music videos.
I'll bring the chips and the dips and root beer, even though dark purple rain clouds are near. When you come around, you bring the summer.
I love this song.
It's a great song. It's a great video. If you haven't seen the video, go right now, check it out. It's nostalgic. It's fun. It wraps the whole Monkees 60s career together. It's awesome. It's a great song. Written by Andy Partridge from XTC as well.
Very cool.
And great song. Really like it.
Yeah, man, from Good Times, which is now 4 years ago.
Yeah. But notice the different vibes. We're listening to Justice. We're like, yeah, here it is. Yeah, this is a good song. Yeah. But then we get something from Good Times, and we're just like, there it is. All right.
Yes.
This is Good Times. And it's a blast.
I don't know. I think the video does have a lot to do with it because it just brings it all together. It's the sun and the good vibes and all the little references for everybody to spot. And it just cemented how the Good Times project was for people who are into the Monkees, made by people who are into the Monkees for people who are into the Monkees.
And I think that's the biggest difference between like Poulet and Justice is like it was people trying to bring the Monkees into the times those records were made rather than make a record for the Monkees for Monkees fans.
Yeah,
it was the first one. And we've talked about it a million times, how great it is.
For real. It's for real. And Andy Partridge from XTC, they do like Making Plans for Nigel and Dear God and Earn Enough for Us. Like, he's a great pop songwriter. And it's very cool. He contributed such a neat tune with that little inside out guitar riff. And I just really super duper dig this song.
It's great. So jam or jelly? Just kidding. Full on jam.
I have a feeling it's not going anywhere near P.O. Box 9847.
Yep, exactly. We're going a bit higher for this one.
Like, dude, man, I'd put this between like Girl I Knew Somewhere and Tapioca Tundra. That's how high I would put this song. I adore this song. I would sleep with this song on the first date.
Wow, my goodness. Gonna get a little timeshare. I might counter that and go between Look Out, Here Comes Tomorrow and Valerie, just a couple down.
Okay.
Like number 11.
Oh.
Or like, do you want to go even between Valerie and I Love You Better at number 10?
That's where we shall compromise on
there
this.
We go.
Yes, there we go. All right.
So top 10, You Bring the Summer.
Top 10, You Bring the Summer.
That's I gotta say, when I pulled it, I wouldn't have thought it would go in the top 10.
Well,
but
I don't know. I super duper dig it, and it's a go-to. If it comes up on my playlist, I'm like, not skipping you.
No, it's a great Monkees vibe kind of song, and I'm glad we went out with it because the other ones aren't bad songs, but they weren't top 10 material. I'll tell you that.
Here we are.
All right. Well, there it is. That is our episode for today. It's a big episode. Got Monkees Manhattan style. We got a new top 10.
I think our episode's about 3 times as long as the actual story part of the episode itself.
100%. This turned out to be a longer podcast than I had expected for this episode, that's for sure.
For real.
All right, Holmes. Well, yeah. Well, here, we'll break down the top 10 because we have a whole new one.
That's a good idea.
All right, you can start with 10.
Number 10, You Bring the Summer.
The summer.
Number 9, I Love You Better.
Number 8, Tapioca Tundra.
It cannot be a part of me.
Number 7, The Girl I Knew Somewhere.
A girl that I knew somewhere.
Number 6, You Just May Be the One.
And you just may be the one.
Number 5, Listen to the Band.
Listen to the band.
Number 4, Circle Sky.
Number 3, Pleasant Valley Sunday.
Number 2, long title, Do I Have to Do This All Over Again?
Do I have to do this over again?
And Holding Strong, number 1, from the movie and soundtrack head, Porpoise Song. Fantastic always. I just listened to that record yesterday.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure anything's gonna knock it off the top. But hey man,
You never know.
we shall see.
You never know. We still have Shorty Blackwell in the hat, so we'll see what happens.
That's a game changer.
Well, all right, everyone. Thank you for coming along for another ride for us. I hope you dug this episode.
Yeah.
Jeff, I hope you're super excited to talk to
Dude.
Mr. Mike Nesmith.
I'm having an out of body experience. I'm expecting to like wake up and it's not real. So thanks for that. And yeah, I'm shitting my pants already. So yeah, it's good.
There we go. That was my goal. So we're okay. So everyone out there, have yourselves a monkey's little evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, Monkees fans. With everything going on with social distancing, Podcast Valley Sunday will be on every 2 weeks. We hope you're staying safe, we hope you're staying at home, and we hope that you're listening to the Monkees and obviously Podcast Valley Sunday. You can check us out on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. And please, rate us and leave a message. We'd love to hear from you. But, as always, be gentle with us. We're very sensitive.
She's got my jacket.